Eric, thank you. There are so many unanswered questions after the attack on former President Donald Trump, and certainly the impacts will unfold in the days and weeks to come. We are joined now by Jonathan Felts. He's a former White House staffer under the Bush-Cheney administration, as well as a current Raleigh-based political strategist. Jonathan, good morning. Great to have you with us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So what happened in Pennsylvania really could have happened anywhere. And over the last several months, we've seen many of the presidential candidates, along with their surrogates, visit here in North Carolina. And so when you see what happened in Pennsylvania and you wonder, how do you think this will change the dynamics and logistics of future political rallies here in North Carolina or elsewhere?
Well, I think the general public might not see a big change from their perspective, but I think on the background side of things, you'll see a lot of the service, the police forces, they'll all be upgrading their security quite a bit. Now, to be clear, the presidential nominee already has Tier 1 security, but they will be looking at other options. If you think back to President Obama, he did several speeches, I think one at the Lincoln Monument and a few other speeches here and there. I think on his the night he won the election, they had a big bulletproof glass shield basically around him the entire time he was speaking. Now, the thing is, though, presidents, they like to be out there with the people. Donald Trump, he loves these rallies. It's part of his energy. It's part of his campaign charisma. And so that's the challenge the Secret Service has and the political affairs staffers have is we want the president out there. The Secret Service would like the president to be in a bunker for security purposes.
Now, this assassination attempt, it points to the real threat of political violence toward our leaders. Do you see any increased security, perhaps, for legislative leaders, state leaders as well, and other high-profile buildings here in North Carolina?
Oh, absolutely. I worked for Governor McCrory for a little while back in 2013. I can't tell you I know for sure that the metal detector in the Capitol building worked. I think since then that's been upgraded quite a bit. But I think everyone that provides security to local elected leaders right now, they're working overtime today with new plans and new procedures to put in place in the weeks to come.
So there are other viable options as far as if not doing a live campaign rally, perhaps there are other ways for candidates to connect with voters, correct?
There are, but nothing really replaces the rally. Nothing really replaces pressing the flesh. Nothing replaces, being able to tell, think about like I went to my first rally when I was a 12-year-old kid and saw the president. That's a magical moment for a lot of folks. That's a point of connectivity for a lot of voters. And so that's the challenge that security has facing in an open democracy like this.
So you've been a White House political director for a number of years. What would be your guidance to candidates here in the next 4 months as we approach the November election?
Well, I think everyone has to be careful. Everyone needs to have a plan in place if the worst does happen. But ultimately, you need to trust your team. You need to trust your security folks and make sure they've got the resources they need to do their job well. But you also need to listen to them. I mean, it's a constant compromise between what the campaign wants to do versus what security wants to do. And so you got to make sure you're working overtime to make sure you've got the best possible outcomes for the worst possible scenarios.
And we haven't seen an assassination attempt on a leader here in the U.S. in 40 years.
Right.
How do you think this changes the political climate, or what do you think this says about our current political climate?
Well, I think some of the rhetoric is going to be downgraded a little bit in the coming days. I mean, you saw President Trump this morning calling for unity. He's not been seen as a unity candidate necessarily since he declared for office. But you've seen a lot of folks on the left who've been constantly saying democracy is going to end. The Constitution is going to just set itself on fire if Donald Trump is reelected as president. I think some of that rhetoric is going to go away now.
Political strategist Jonathan Felts, we appreciate your insight and your analysis. Thank you.
Great. Thanks to be here.
Chris.
And we certainly wanted to get that perspective this morning and get you more information on what happened. We have a map to show you where the shooting unfolded during President Trump's rally yesterday. Look at your screen here. You can see the rooftop on which investigators say the gunman was able to set up and fire shots. The building is part of a manufacturing plant. This is near the Butler Farm Show grounds where Trump is speaking. It's a little less than 160 yards from the stage. Now, for reference, that's a distance that we're told U.S. Army recruits must be able to hit a human-sized target to qualify using an M16.